Hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Alexa and Friends. As we do here most weeks, we have a fantastic guest joining us, Ruhi Sarikaya, and in just a moment I'll bring him on, but I wanted to make sure that everybody knew we're using a slightly different tool today. So if you're used to the nice star field that we see in the background and all the kind of space-looking things, we don't have that today, but what we do have is a very powerful tool that allows us to bring guests in just like this. And with that, Rui's here on the screen. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Jeff. Excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Certainly.
Yeah.
I'm glad we could make this happen. So let me zoom out just a little bit, and I'm going to do one more thing since we're trying all this at the same time.
I like the zooming in better. Jeff, I don't hear you now. Are you muted?
Yes, I am unmuted. I apologize. My other computer was going crazy, making a bunch of noise. So good morning. Thank you for being here. One of the things that I really like to do when we start these interviews is to ask a couple of silly questions right here at the beginning. So if you don't mind, we're going to get right into that. I want to get to know you. I want to get to know the person. And so the first question that I'd really like to ask is, if you could pick any one superpower. Now, again, a lot of people think, oh, I want to be Superman or Wonder Woman or whatever. You only get to pick one power. Superman, Wonder Woman, they have lots of individual powers put together to make the awesome superhero. What would your one superpower be if you could pick one?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I was thinking before the interview, if I survive the first 10 minutes of the interview, I will be fine. I think you may not think that this is a superpower, but I like to live healthy until a late age.
Ooh.
I can pick a number, 90, 100, but live healthy without any health problems. That would be the superpower I would have.
But do you have to choose to be healthy, or can you have like pizza and donuts and all the awful things, but you still stay healthy?
Yeah, including that.
Oh, okay. Perfect. I like that. I was thinking the other day about an interesting superpower. I don't know if it's good or bad, but it would be knowing when you'll die. Like, you get to know that the whole time.
I wouldn't like to know that.
I feel like it would be bad to know, but it would be a really interesting thing to have, especially if it was like 95 years old. That means I can do anything right now. I can jump out of airplanes. I can do whatever I want. I'm not going to die until that day. I think that would be pretty interesting.
That thinking will change though as the time come close.
Yeah, that's true. So you want to be able to stay healthy regardless of your behavior. I like that. I think that's a good one. It's almost like self-healing a little bit, but I think that's a good one. All right, so here's another fun one. You're in front of a very plain wall, so I don't have a good view of your office or your home where you're probably staying. But I'm always interested to know this about people. If you had to pick one between your office, your bedroom, and your car, which one is the messiest?
My car.
Your car?
Yeah.
Are you like throw stuff in the passenger seat floor or?
A little bit. I mean, it's not. I don't hoard. To be clear, office and bedroom. I have my wife and family, and they put some pressure. Just
Sure.
put this in place and clean this up. So I have to go by with that. In car, it's mine. So I have more control.
Got it. I think that's probably true for me too. My office is not in perfect condition, but my car is also quite a thing sometimes. Though I do try to keep it clean because I take my family places and they want to have places to sit,
yes,
ride in the car too. All right. So last one, this is my favorite question. And I think you've probably heard this before if you've watched any of these other episodes. I want you to imagine for a moment, just, picture yourself, you're walking through a busy city and the place you need to get is down an alleyway. And so you make a turn, you're like, I'm just going to cut through this alley. This will be easy. And you get about halfway through the alley. And at the other end, the direction you're heading, a giant horse-sized duck appears. And that giant duck looks aggressive, right? It looks angry, like, oh, I don't know that I want to go that way. So you turn around and you go the other direction only to be confronted by 100 duck-sized horses. So a bunch of
Yeah.
tiny, tiny horses at the other end. They also don't look very happy with you. You need to get out of this alley some way, probably by fighting. Which direction do you choose to go?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I would ask some clarifying questions though before.
Oh,
before
okay. Okay, let's get into it.
the first one was you sort of answered, so they're there to get me, I suppose,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Okay. Is there anything in the hallway,
Oh
like
no. Maybe a
table,
dirty puddle.
chairs,
You might have access to a dirty puddle on the ground. That's about it.
dirty puddle? Nothing. Nothing. And these dog-sized horses, are they behaving in a coordinated way, or they're randomly moving around?
I mean, I have to assume that they are out to get you. So, as
Okay,
coordinated as that would be,
okay. Then in that case, I would go with the um, horse-sized duck,
the one giant duck.
one giant duck.
That's my pick too. I think that's the right choice. I like that. And I like that you've given it some thought too. This is something that's very important to me for people to really think deeply about duck-sized horses and horse-sized ducks. So, thank you for entertaining not only our audience but me with your answers. All right, so let's get into why we're really here, which is to get to know you and to understand some of the things that you're working on. So, where I like to start these interviews is to understand your story, right? You've been in meetings or you've talked with people and they're like, how did you get here? What was the path you took to get to this job? And I tell a long story about how I started in psychology and then I got out of school and made no money. So I got into software right at the right time. And here we are 25 years later. I would love to hear kind of your origin story. How did you get here where you are today?
Yeah, that's a good one. So I am from Turkey. So I grew up in Turkey, and I went to college in Turkey too. I did my undergrad. How did I end up here in conversational AI? Is an interesting story. It's random in some ways, but these things sort of shape up your life. I was in my senior year. This is around 1994, and in senior year you need to take a project, a senior year project, and you complete the project. So I remember uh, I went to downtown. My university was in the outskirts of Ankara, and there were these shuttles that you need to take to go to downtown. I don't know why we went to downtown, but we went to downtown. And this is the day where the professors actually put up the projects, the potential projects for you to come and pick one. And we went to downtown with my buddies, and then the shuttle to university is every hour. And if you miss the shuttle, you need to wait an hour to get the next one. Of course, as a poor student, you don't have the money to get a car, the cab to go to the university. It was expensive, so we missed the shuttle. And the professors would put up the projects at 1 p.m. and we missed the shuttle at 12 p.m. So we had to
Mm,
wait for the next one. By the time we arrived, all the interesting projects were gone. And also the professors, we prefer professors who are nice in the sense that easygoing and they won't give you a hard time.
right.
And there was one professor, maybe he's watching us, Professor Ömer Morgul. He's a cool professor. He's a good one, and I wanted to take a project from him. And he had two projects, so I went to his door, and one of them was mechanical snake, and the other one was it's uh, isolated digit recognition
Ooh,
using neural networks,
yeah.
like digit 0 to 0 1 to 0 to 9. And this is early 90s, mid 90s. And so I was debating with my buddy, which one is interesting, like very scientific debate. Mechanical snake seems very spooky. Just stay away from it.
Yeah.
Okay, I went with the isolated digit recognition using neural net. So I didn't remember anything. In the evening, I came to the dorm room debating with my friends. Oh, what is your project? And I go, I didn't remember anything. But I knew that this was, I will say one to the computer and it will understand it. I will say two to the computer, it will understand it. That was cool. The idea was cool.
Yeah.
And I stuck with it. So I took this project and then, I applied to grad school here. And, senior project is something, an asset that they can, make a point of. And I got accepted to Clemson University master's program. Then I moved to Duke University, working on speech recognition, natural language understanding. From there, I went to IBM Watson Research Center. This is early 2000. That's one of the best places. Back then, you didn't have, Amazon was just taking off. Many companies, Facebook wasn't around. Google is maybe starting. So but Bell Labs and IBM were the place to be at that time. So I went to IBM Watson Research Center. I stayed there for about 10 years. I did research, just pure research, wrote a lot of papers, patents, everything. Then I realized that, I can stay here for another 20 years and retire. Uh, but I didn't want to do that. I also realized that, I wanted to impact the customers' lives versus, writing the papers. So at that time, Microsoft reached out to me that, we're building a conversational AI team at Microsoft and you want to come and join us. So I took that. I joined Microsoft and I stayed there 5 years and I worked on building Cortana. So that was a good experience too. And at the same time, while working on Cortana, my colleague, Rohit Prasad, who's my manager right now,
Rohit's been on
uh,
here. I love
yeah,
Rohit. He's great.
I know Rohit from my IBM days. He was at BBN, and we were working on joint DARPA programs like speech-to-speech translation projects. So I know Rohit for 20 years maybe by now. And he was pinging me, would you consider Alexa? We're doing great things here. So, I jumped that, okay, Rohit, let's talk. And then great. And then Alexa was super exciting to me. It came out of nowhere. uh, you know, uh, just looking back, actually, in many ways, Google, Microsoft, they had this NLP, natural language understanding, natural language processing, machine learning muscle way ahead. But Amazon came out of nowhere and it just surprised everyone. And I wanted to be part of that journey. And I joined Alexa in 2016, and it's been 4 years and 3 months now,
Wow.
building cool things for our
Yeah,
customers.
that's interesting. You and I have had a similar path. Not that I haven't known Rohit for 20 years, but the idea that you saw Alexa and the appeal that it had, and came here I came here 4 years and 3 months ago as well. So that's very, very cool. And I have a very similar story related to Microsoft. So I was working at Microsoft before I came here, and in between I did about a year at a startup. And one of the things that I had done, we every summer at Microsoft they had a idea hackathon contest kind of thing where there was 1 week in the summer that you could dedicate to just working on whatever you wanted to come up with an idea, to invent something. And me and two of my friends decided to sit down, and we had just seen Cortana and we thought it was really neat. This was in mid 2014.
Yeah.
And we said, man, this would be really cool. And I have this amazing video we made, a trailer of us building a device that was about the size of an Echo Dot that just plugged into a wall, that you could just talk to, and you could ask it like, do I need more milk? And what time is it? And play my favorite song, right? It was, in our heads, we had invented Alexa, the Echo device, using Cortana as the back end. And when we pitched it, nobody at Microsoft thought it was very interesting. So I had that sitting in the back of my head. It was something that I thought was really exciting and interesting. And I went and worked at a startup in healthcare and did that for a little while. And then Alexa came out, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. This was the thing I wanted to do. And so I reached out to some people that I knew, and they were like, yes, we think you would be a good fit on the Amazon team. And here I am. So that's great to hear. What a fun background you've had. And Clemson and Duke, those are two fantastic schools.
Yeah, they're good schools.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, so that's your origin story. So that got you here to Amazon. Can you tell us a little bit about what your role is here, what your responsibilities are at Amazon?
Yeah, I am in Alexa AI organization. Under Alexa AI organization, I built and I'm leading a team called Intelligent Decisions. And I'm the director of applied science in AI. So that is the role. If you want to get into like what we do in the team, I can get into that too, or maybe that will come up later.
Sure, sure, sure. No, I think that's a good start. So you mentioned IBM and Microsoft before Amazon. How do you feel like those experiences prepared you for what you're doing here?
Yeah. Well, all along I have been. I was thinking the other day, is there anything that I haven't done with speech, language, and AI? There wasn't anything. I touched everything, from low level signal processing like speech enhancement, speaker recognition, speech recognition, natural language understanding, machine translation, speech translation, dialogue management, like everything. So that was a privilege. The learnings though, the IBM, it was more on research, core research. So that was rewarding in many ways, just understanding the fundamental research and moving the needle. But always, what I hear is, oh, okay, this is going to open up new possibilities, new products, and it's going to change the lives. Like the paper that you wrote, that seemed like okay, everything is going to open up new possibilities. Why I don't do that? As opposed to just writing and something and someone else
Right.
is going to pick up and make an impact on people's lives. And that made me to think, okay, I like to move to product team. This is actually that's when I joined Microsoft. I didn't join research team. I joined the product team to build the product. And I am a firm believer of actually science in product, and not science separate, especially in our area, because customer problems are super interesting. It actually the problems are novel, and we come up with these interesting ideas to problems that we didn't know before. That's what makes it exciting, that you solve these tough problems, at the same time you actually see the impact of your product with the end customers, how their lives are getting better, how they're using your product, and learning from that. That's super rewarding.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So, have you? I mean, you've been through it, certainly over time and across companies. Have you seen how have you seen the field of like natural language understanding and conversational AI? How has that evolved over the time that
Yeah.
you've been here?
Yeah, this is interesting. Even let me go back to what I just said. I was working on, as I said, in mid 90s, isolated digit recognition, zero, like tone
Right.
dialing, none of that. Of course, at that point, it was a little further ahead. Like there was continuous speech recognition starting to take off, but very limited vocabulary, like, maybe 5,000 words vocabulary. It didn't cover everything. And the accuracy wasn't, great. Uh, Speech recognition and AI has been always, one day it will blossom, one day it will take off. But that was an elusive thing, though. It never came, and this has been around for since 70s.
Yeah.
One day speech recognition, natural language, computers will be able to understand, hear you, understand you, and reason about what you just said. uh, it just kept moving out into the future. So I think there were a few things that happened that now it is a reality. Uh, one was this what I call the sensors and compute. The sensors got cheaper and pervasive. That the machines could detect, any changes in the environment, and even when you look at your phone, there are tens of sensors there, measuring the touch, light, and any movement, physical, movement. The that was one thing. The compute got cheaper and powerful. The again, this phone, going back 10, 15 years ago, you can't imagine that you will fit everything into this computer that you're holding in your hand.
Sure.
uh, and with that, the last piece was the deep learning. That made a tremendous impact. It started in 2010, and it's ongoing until today. This fast compute, cheaper compute, improved machine learning algorithms. And as I said, the sensors that feeding information to this machine learning systems, uh, just it was the right combination. That made it possible. Systems like Alexa today.
Got it. I have a question from the audience, and I'm gonna phrase it a little differently. But I'm just curious, as you look at the challenges, have you primarily worked on English, or I guess the real question is,
Yeah.
when we look at spoken languages, which ones do you find the most challenging?
Yeah. I've worked on many languages. If I counted, all European languages, Asian languages, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, um, even Hindi. I they this is what we are doing with Alexa today. When we are launching features, we tend to, if there's invention risk, high invention risk, we tend to, launch it in US, but quickly we follow with other locales. Right now Alexa is in 15 locales, and we like to expand it. So yeah, I do have exposure to other languages and complexities as well. If getting it, which languages are easy, which languages are difficult, the English is easier because we know a lot more about it. We have more resources about it. We build tools for it. Uh, there are languages that are difficult because of their morphological structures. Uh, like German is a difficult language. There's compounding. Turkish is a different language. It's agglutinative language.
Yeah.
Literally, you can have one word corresponding to 10 words in English. One word, and that's the entire sentence. You have different challenges for Asian languages, like they don't have pronouns, for example, in Japanese. Arabic, they don't have the vowels in the language. It's all consonants, and you
Yeah.
need to infer vowel from the context. They do have different challenges, and they present new problems to machine learning.
Oh, for sure. I can only imagine. I've certainly heard of languages where if you put the emphasis on the wrong syllable in a word, it's a completely different meaning.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine the challenges those present as well. So okay, let's move on. Thank you for that. So let's talk a little bit about IEEE, the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. I heard recently you were named an IEEE fellow, and I'd love to know, first of all, congratulations on that. I know that
Thank you.
they're described as the world's largest technical professional organization dedicated to advancing technology for the benefit of humanity, which I'm all about. Like, how can we use technology to help humans live their lives better? I think that's fantastic. What's your involvement in that organization?
Yeah. Thank you, by the way. Yeah, I am honored and humbled by that decision. My involvement with IEEE goes back to my undergrad years. I studied electrical and computer engineering, and in my first year, I became an IEEE member, a student member. So I am like about 25 years. I am an IEEE member, student member, senior member, and fellow now, happily. Uh, uh, so I got involved. Actually, the involvement uh, gets bigger once you have your PhD. As a student, there were IEEE activities. I got involved with that. Bringing speakers and making sure that the students' careers are improving. They know, what's the state of the art, the magazines that they're following. Once I got into grad school, they were doing my PhD. Then I got involved with like the conferences, paper reviews, right? And after that, I started to be part of the community more. Like I attended many conferences, I chaired sessions. As you are, maturing in the area and making contributions and impact, I started to give, keynotes in different conferences. So I've been, and I chaired conferences as well. There were a few conferences that I chaired, like organizational these conferences.
Yeah.
I was part of the editorial board for some IEEE journals. Uh, So I'm closely involved with IEEE activities. Up until today, even though I'm super busy with Alexa, I still review papers for IEEE conferences. That also helps me to stay close to the ground,
Yeah,
what's happening in the area. To
makes it easy
this
to stay in
day,
touch with what's happening.
exactly. To this day, there are a couple conferences, yearly conferences. I'm a reviewer.
Very good. Very, very cool. All right, so let's talk about your team and what you guys are doing here at Amazon. So you lead a team at Alexa AI called Intelligent Decisions. I would love to know more about what that organization works on and some of the science behind the work. That sounds super exciting.
Yeah. Uh, uh, okay. As the name implies, it is about making intelligent decisions. That wasn't a coincidence. It was actually we were deliberate when we were picking that name. Tom picked that name for us, and we are living, trying to live up to that name. So we have what we are doing for customers. Let me start with that. Uh, when you look at Alexa, the customers speak to Alexa, and we, first we do the speech recognition, right? But what is it that the customer is speaking to Alexa, and we understand the customer's intent, right? And then this is where intelligent decisions come into play. Okay, I understood what the customer is saying. Now I need to, find the right application or skill, as we call it, to dispatch this request to. What is the right skill that should answer this request? Like to give an example, Alexa, play Frozen. Right? Alexa may wake up.
Jeffrey's
You know.
station from Jeff's Apple
Alexa,
Music.
So
stop.
I should
Alexa, stop.
be careful.
No, I'm muted now. I have a whole library of devices here
I
behind me.
know.
They're
I
all
know.
red, except
Yeah.
for that one. And I heard you say Alexa, and I was like, oh no,
Yeah.
we're good now.
Yeah. So, what is the right application that should answer this request? Is it the music application? Is it the, video? Is it, podcast? Is it weather? Is it smart home? So we determine where to route this request. Given the context, though, we will get into those questions later on, I hope. It is a complex problem because, Alexa is showing up in ever increasing endpoints and ever increasing context. Alexa is before it was in our home, right? In our kitchen. Now Alexa is in the car. You're reading the news. Today I read the news with GM. It's in the car. Alexa is in the hotel room right now.
Right.
And Alexa is getting integrated with our partners in different endpoints, through services like Alexa voice services, Alexa Skills Kit. The customers are integrating Alexa to their devices and building skills as well. And that's increasing the context under which Alexa needs to operate. And that complexity is what we are solving with intelligent decisions. This is actually part of the intelligent decision. That is the other part. With this ever increasing complexity, we need to be able to learn, the AI part. We are inventing new methods to learn from the customer interactions, customer feedback, as opposed to someone sitting down and telling us what Alexa should do. It's not going to scale in this with this complexity of increasing context. Uh, and the metrics also. How do we know that actually we are making the right decisions and the customers is happy with our decisions? That's another area that this team is driving. Inventing the metrics and to measure the CX customer experience. The last part is new ideas that we are going to touch on that. The contextual understanding and multi-skill experiences that we want to understand the customer. We want to understand their latent goals. We want to bring these experiences in a seamless way. because we do have, over 120,000 skills. You don't know all these skills. Then customers, especially in a voice forward interaction mode like Alexa, you wouldn't know what are those things. So we are, making the customers aware at the right time when they're interacting with Alexa, so that, oh, there are these other things that actually can help you to solve your problem. But let me pause here for a second. We have other, features, other systems, but I don't want to, cover all of them. But these
Sure.
are the key ones.
Sure, sure. So, well, let's get into that a little bit, though. So, your team recently had a launch for Alexa, new capabilities. But before we get to that, can you give me an overview of some of the advancements that have come out of your group
Yeah,
that have gotten us to where we are today?
yeah. One is, the routing is one. We announced this in Alexa Live back in July. That the developers come and we launched what we call the name-free interaction kit, where the third-party skill developers, they can come and they can onboard to NFI toolkit, and that will give them opportunity to receive traffic from Alexa in a natural way. If you look at the third-party skill interactions, they primarily, you need to know the skill name. Alexa ask, um, uh, pick a skill, animal sounds, to make a whale sound. Like that's, the very cognitive load is super high. The customers don't remember the skill name. They don't remember what to say. So instead of doing that, what we are solving is, how does an elephant sound like? Just say it in natural language. We will find the right skill for you, and we will, get the answer from the skill, and the skill is going to, give you the whale sound directly in one go. Just removing that friction from the customer's interaction.
Yeah.
Uh, this is one. The other one is, this is self-learning. We have an internal program name, but I'm not going to get into it. But let me explain that with an example. Uh, Going back, I don't know, maybe a year ago, when a customer speaks to Alexa, Alexa play ABCDs. Alexa didn't know what ABCDs is, and then we give, oh, sorry, I don't know that, or sorry, I don't have an answer for that. But then with self-learning, observing the customers and their interactions, this is all the customers. Some customers, they said Alexa play ABCDs, and Alexa didn't do the right thing, and they followed up with, they reformulated their request and followed up with, Alexa play the alphabet song. And Alexa played the alphabet song, because the proper name for that song is the alphabet song. But
Right.
customers, think the
Yeah.
ABCDs should work. But we learn without any manual annotation from the customer interactions that actually the right phrasing of this, Alexa play ABCDs, is play the alphabet song. So we do it on the fly. We do this mapping and reformulation on the fly. And the customers, when they say ABCDs, Alexa plays the alphabet song. It is seamless. They don't actually notice it. That's the beauty of it. It happens under the hood.
Right.
Uh,
No, but that's so clever because there are times where it's going to fail. It's just not going to know the answer.
yeah,
So we're training our users, our customers, in some ways, to keep going. Like, try again. That will help us learn in the future how to solve these problems, not only for you but for other people. It's almost like we're teaching the customers how to teach Alexa.
yes,
That's great.
exactly, exactly. Absolutely. That is actually that's the key part. I think one of the key driving force for intelligent decisions is learning from the customers. Either implicitly, as in this example, or explicitly. We are also engaging with customers when we are not sure. You may have run into this feature yourself. I do run into it from time to time. When I say, Alexa, set up a timer for 15 minutes, Alexa, sometimes I'm walking away from the device, or sometimes it's noisy. Alexa confuses 15 and 50. Then Alexa engages with me. Is it 15 or 50? I say 50, and then it sets the versus, it sets the long timer. Then I need to go back and cancel it, and it's
Right.
natural. When we are interacting with human beings, this is what we do too. If I didn't hear you well, I clarify with you
Right.
before I take an action. So we are making it more natural.
I love it. I love it. So I work with a lot of skill developers. I'm sure some of them are watching here today. What are the developer benefits of some of these capabilities? I know you mentioned name-free skill invocation. I know that's near and dear to a lot of developers' hearts because it gives them the access to customers that don't know their skill exists. They don't know that the name is even
Yeah.
there, but people are using their skill because they ask for something that relates to what's inside their skill. What
Yes.
other examples of that do you have?
So the benefit to skill developers, let's go back to actually the customer problems here. And then what does that mean for the skill developers? The customer problems is the skill developers are building their skills. The However, the customers do not know the selection, do not know all the available skills in Alexa store that they can interact with. As I said, there are over 120,000 skills. There's no way, for any human being to go and remember all of these.
Right.
And because of this discoverability issue, the skill developers may not get as much traffic as they would like to their skill, right? With the NFI name-free introduction container that we launched, we are allowing to skill developer to come and specify these top level utterances and intents that they would be handling. They're letting us know about that. With that, now the customers are interacting with Alexa. We are naturally and seamlessly finding the right skills, and that is increasing the traffic and engagement for their skills. So what is in it for them is more traffic, more engagement, because of natural interactions and routing the system that we have.
Good.
And when they see increased traffic, they actually go back and improve their CX, their skills,
Right.
quality. That in turn leads to more customer engagement. So that sort of turns the flywheel
Yeah.
that we like to turn.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great example of a flywheel, right? The the system decides to funnel more requests to that skill, which in turn incentivizes the developer to make their skill better and to have more features, which in turn pushes the cycle further. So I think that's great.
Yeah.
So I've had the luxury of being able to interview a bunch of folks from the Alexa Science team over the past few weeks, past few months, honestly, and there's all of these launches and science behind how we're making Alexa more conversational, more natural. I know your team was kind of the engine behind the latest announcement related to how we infer customers' goals. Can you give us an overview of that announcement and what went into that?
Yeah. That's also one of the exciting programs that we have. It's a new feature. We have different features and programs and are in different levels of maturity. This is actually at the beginning phase, but we are super encouraged with the results that we are seeing so far. So this feature is what we call the multi-skill experiences. What I mean by that is, we looking at the customer's interactions. Let me explain this with an example. The customer comes and asks a question to Alexa. Alexa, how long does it take to steep tea? Right? There, the customer needs this piece of information to do the next thing that they have in mind. They have a latent goal. The latent goal is actually they're steeping tea. They want to set a timer, right? And we automatically infer the customer's latent goal. And when customers ask, how long does it take to steep tea, then we follow up proactively, engage with the customer, and ask, do you want me to set up a timer? If Alexa says, it takes 5 minutes to set a steep tea, then the follow-up is, do you want me to set a timer for that? And if the customer says yes, we carry over that 5 minutes, and the timer is set for 5 minutes. All we need is the customer say yes. So it again removes the friction, it naturally carries the context from one skill to next skill and to complete the customer's latent goal. Uh, there are other use cases where, again, going back to addressing the discovery problem, uh, you know, um, like what is the loudest animal in the world? This is a question, and we say, blue whale is the loudest animal in the world, and we follow up. Do you want to hear how a blue whale sounds like? Well, they didn't know that there's actually Alexa can make sounds of
Sure.
animals. So there's sort of addressing the skill discovery too. Then yeah, I like to hear that, and we play the blue sound. There are other utility, more high utility examples. Even though we are not traveling that much nowadays, and I hope that will change at some point. Alexa, how is the traffic to SeaTac Airport, right? Well, the customer's latent goal could be, to go to airport, to get a Uber, or to check the flight status. We follow up with the customer. Do you want to get an Uber to SeaTac, or do you want to check the flight status, or do you want to know the wait times at the airport?
Right.
And customers may not know that there's this functionality that Alexa supports.
Yeah. So, man, it feels like there's a bit of a balancing act though, like between being proactive and offering them these kind of suggestions versus also kind of like not being too intrusive. Um, how do you manage those two? How do I
Yeah.
not be too intrusive but make sure I give you the cool stuff that you want to know about?
Excellent question. So, the key thing in everything we do is work back from the customer, right? Yeah, we want to provide utility and value with the features and experiences we are launching. We don't want to harm the customer or be intrusive or break their flow. And so these experiences, we do have a component that we call triggering. Triggering meaning that, when should I engage with the customer in this context? The context is this specific customer, this specific time, this specific place, this specific device. This is an ongoing thing that we don't wanna, we don't wanna create a negative CX. We don't wanna barge in and spam the customers with these, Alexa initiated interaction. So we are keeping a very high bar on that, and we have metrics, instrumentation, and we have also guardrail that we call. For example, you are not going to provide the same suggestion, proactive suggestion to this customer. Say, I don't know the exact number. I'm just giving as an example. Say, not more than twice in a week. Right?
Sure.
You don't. If you do it every day, then it will become a problem. And we also take into customers' affinity to some of these skills and applications, whether they have used it and they're regularly using it. And there are cases where we want them to discover these as well. And all of these contextual factors are feeding into that our triggering is precise. When we are engaging, we are looking for a high conversion rate, meaning that customers are actually accepting.
Yeah.
We do have metrics that we are tracking, and we are continuously improving them.
That's really interesting. So it really is trying to get to know a customer on a one-to-one level almost, where it
Absolutely.
understands this person likes this kind of thing, that they respond at these kind times of day. Like that's really very well, it's very useful, but hopefully it's very beneficial to the customer too, right? They're getting what they want when they need it, which I think is the right approach. That's something I love about Amazon, is how customer centric it is to focus on what are the customer needs. If we're serving their needs, if we're making them happy, everything flows from there. Um,
Absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
fantastic. So this feature, is this live? When does this launch?
It is it is live. This is live in ENUS. It's This is live for a couple of weeks now. I don't recall the exact date, but for a few weeks we launched this experience in ENUS. Uh, for a limited set of use cases, to be clear. And we do have a large number of use cases in our pipeline, and we will keep expanding this in the coming year.
That's great. So I have an add-on question to this, which I just for my own personal understanding. You mentioned the steeping tea example.
Yeah.
That's one question of millions potentially that have these kinds of triggers that could be applied to them. Is there a master list someplace that someone's compiled of all the questions, or how do you identify what questions are good candidates for
Yeah.
triggering?
Yeah. Again, you are asking excellent questions.
Good.
So in that is where the self-learning, machine learning, and self-learning come into play. That's the key pillar, that the key tenet that we apply when we are looking at the problem. Work back from the customers and bring in self-learning from the get-go, so that it's not an afterthought for scaling. And the example I gave, for if the customer is asking, want to go to airport, right? Okay, Alexa, how is the traffic to airport? This is actually, we don't even know the customer wants to go to airport. The customer is asking. That's one possibility, a likely possibility. Well, there are actually a few options there, right? One is, the customer wants to go to airport and wants to take a Uber or Lyft. This is one possibility. The customer actually, no, they don't want to take an Uber or Lyft. They want to drive, but they want to know, how is the traffic, because they're going to travel themselves or they're going to pick up somebody.
Right.
And right, or they're going to check the flight status. They're not going to travel to airport now. Someone is going to arrive, right? So there are all these possibilities and all these options for customers to choose from. So there is the self-learning piece that we are looking at existing customer behaviors. What are these skills? What's the co-occurrence of these skills? What skills are following with what skills? We learn this from the data, these promising candidates. But then we bring the customer interaction and learning from the customer feedback and the triggering, as I described, and quickly determine actually which of these paths are promising paths that we need to follow. Which of them are, and it's a probabilistic system.
Sure.
Which are promising, which aren't promising. The system is learning from these interactions.
Got it. And all of this happens in milliseconds. I think that's the part to me that is just, it's just mind blowing to think about the way that we're using technology to solve these problems. In the time it takes for me to say something, all of these decisions are being made and fed back to the user as a response. It's remarkable. And that's why I'm here. That's why I work on this stuff, is because I just find it so incredibly compelling to be able to solve hard problems like this. All right. So taking a slight step back, obviously you're very excited about this. And I think that this is something that is going to really push the envelope forward for how people think about using Alexa. But you've been here 4 years and 3 months, as I have. What are some of the other things that you've personally worked on that you're the most proud of here at Amazon?
Yeah, this is the most difficult question. I suspect all of my team members are watching me too. Now, I am not going to pick a favorite child here. I am proud of all the features that we worked on. And I mean it. They actually move the needle, improve the customer experience in a meaningful way. The thing though, I don't care as much about the feature or system we build is complex or not. As long sometimes the simple things actually make a big impact
Yeah.
on the customers. I like those simple things that are impacting the customers in a disproportional way. That's my preference. But we made impact to customers in along different dimensions. I'm proud of the work that we have done. I'm proud of the work the team is doing.
Yeah, that's a great, very politically safe answer. I like it. All right, so I like to end with some interesting Alexa questions. One that I'll ask you is there an Alexa skill that you find yourself using regularly?
Yeah, I use Jeopardy a lot.
Jeopardy.
Yeah,
I do like Jeopardy.
yeah,
Jeopardy's a good one.
it's a good one.
And then another question I have for you, and this only counts for ones that are plugged in, like the ones I have here behind me.
Uh-huh.
How many Alexa devices do you have actively plugged in your home? And I have to qualify that question because I also have like a stack of boxes. These don't count, right? Because they're
Yeah.
they're just sitting here. Some people have
Yes.
extra devices at home that they're not using.
Yeah. I don't know the exact count, but I can tell you that it is close to, it's between 15 to 20.
Nice.
Uh,
So that's
yeah.
that's probably every room.
Every room. And, I have kids, of course. Uh, uh, they all got their Alexas as part of their birthday gifts.
Nice.
And now they want to upgrade. They want an Alexa with a screen.
Yeah.
We are negotiating that. Yeah, we have it in every room. I have it in my car as well. I want Alexa to be wherever I am.
Yeah. Well, I think for us, people that are working on the product directly, I think it's important for us to be using it all the time, to understand the little nuances and understand when it's being annoying or when it's being too intrusive, but also when it delights you. And like, man, that was such a great experience. We really knocked this part out of the park. I agree with you. I have them all over the place.
Yes.
So I can't thank you enough for being here today. This was a really interesting conversation. I know I learned a lot. There's been a fantastic conversation in the chat. And so I want to thank the people that were here watching as well. I know that if you guys want to know more, you can go to alexa.science to read more about the blog posts and some of the releases that are coming out between the work that Rui's doing and the rest of his team. So please check out amazon.science if you'd like to learn more there. I think there's also some links that have been posted in the chat. And I think they just shared a link related to a blog post about the new capabilities we just discussed today. So that's great. Is there anything else you'd like to leave us with before we wrap up here today, Ruhi?
Thank you, Jeff. It's super happy that I'm here. I enjoyed our conversation a lot too. I think this is really the beginning, as we call here at Amazon. It is day one, and Alexa is here to stay, and Alexa is here, and you will actually see it more. Becoming indispensable and part of your life. There are challenges there too, to solve. Let's not let's recognize them as well. But it is a good start to a journey, and I think it's going to change our everyday life in a big way. And I see this is going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. We have a good start.
Well, sign me up. The next 5 to 10 years sound exciting. I'm looking forward to it. So again, I want to thank everyone for viewing. Certainly want to thank Ruhi for being here as our guest today. And we will see you guys all again very soon in the next episode of Alexa and Friends. So again, Ruhi, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Bye, everyone.